For those of you that hadn't been following along, we've been setting up two great hunting rifles, a 1903A3 and an FN Supreme, which has a commercial M98 action. And so far we've bedded the actions and free-floated the barrels. Well, today we're here at the range to find out what that did for our accuracy. Did it help us? Did it hurt us? Well, hey, let's get set up and find out. I want to start by saying this little experiment we're doing, and this is an experiment, it's not a controlled experiment, so this isn't definitive. I fired 4 shots out of both rifles before I did anything as far as bedding or free floating. And different conditions, different days. We got me, the shooter, here. Who knows what we're going to get? But I thought it would be interesting just to see. And these rifles with this particular load might do better, might do worse. Who knows? Let's find out. And the only thing that changed, besides the bedding and free floating, on this A3 I did clean the barrel. And that will change your shot groups, that alone. And if anything, I expect it to be worse because of the cleaning. We're going to need a few shots through this one to build some fouling back up. Plus, I took the scopes off when I did the bedding, so we've got to get these rifles back on paper. Well, that'll give us a chance to get a few fouling shots through here, and once we get the fouling shots through, then we'll fire a 4-shot group to do the comparison. And just to get it on paper, I've got some factory ammo. For the 4-shot groups, the previous groups that we fired through these rifles for the before, I loaded up 4 extra rounds for each rifle at that time. So it's the exact same cartridges that we're going to fire today as we did the before with, and just for that comparison. Again, it's not a controlled experiment, but it should be interesting. And personally, I want to know if all that work I've done's paid off in accuracy. So that scope looks to be really close to where it was before I pulled it off. So let's see if we're on paper. Now let's check the FN and see if we're on paper with it. And it is also on paper, but low. We're on paper and we should be close to 0. So let's shoot our first 4-shot group through the 1903. And this is going to be for fouling more than anything else. And it's going to be interesting just to see, okay, after we shoot this group, get a little fouling on there, then shoot the next 4-shot group, just to see what that did. So let's see what we've got. That didn't look too bad. All right, now let's see what the FN's going to do. think that FN's just now really starting to settle in. Now let's see what we get on the 1903. It looked to me like a pretty decent group. And we're going to run one more group through this FN just because it looked like it was just really starting to settle in from that bedding. So let's run one more 4-shot group through here and see what we get. That group's a little big on the end, but it's really starting to settle in now. So let's go grab these targets and look and see what we've got here. Let's start with the FN. Okay, our first 4-shot group here, well, that just wasn't great. But I think that was everything just settling in, just the bedding, the scope, everything. And I am really glad we ran that second 4-shot group through there because that was a huge improvement. Now, one of these 2 holes has 2 bullets through it, and I'm not sure exactly which. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the footage. But I'm pretty sure we got 3 shots right here and something around a 1/2 inch. You know, I have to look at the footage. Either way though, this is better than where we were at before the bedding and free floating. Before the bedding and free floating, if you look at the before, okay, we've got 4 shots. They're steadily stringing from left to right. That's the barrel heating up and it touching the stock. That's where that stringing's coming from. This is a huge improvement over that, and I can see everything just settling in on this rifle. And truthfully, I wish we had another 4 shots we could run through it real quick, but I didn't load any extras. That was the extras. So I'm tickled with that. And I'm seeing some serious potential here out of that rifle. Okay, the 1903A3. That first shot group in it was not bad. And I don't have my calipers with me, but I'm gonna say that first shot, 4-shot group with the fouling, I'm gonna say is right at 1 inch. Maybe just a hair over, but right at 1 MOA. All right, that second 4-shot group, that was pretty impressive. We're gonna say 3/4 of an inch on that. I'll measure it when I get home precisely and we'll know. We're right around 3/4 of an inch. So that 1903A3 with the 1942 action and a 1943 barrel, it's rebarreled at some point. We're 3/4 of an MOA with that rifle. That's pretty good. I am absolutely ecstatic with that. So yeah, the bedding and free floating definitely paid off on these 2. And if you look at the previous shot group on that 1903A3, okay, we had a solid 3-shot group, but then the 4 shots high. Well, that was that barrel heating up, expanding, and it's touching the stock on the bottom. That pushed the barrel up, that changed the point of impact, made it high. Now, I'm tickled with the bedding and free floating. I'm glad to know all that work paid off as far as accuracy. But a lot of you pointed out something in the comments of the last video where we were actually free floating the barrel that I did want to mention today. And that's not all rifles benefit from free floating the barrel. Some do better with the pressure point. Several of you mentioned that, and y'all are absolutely 100% correct on that. And there's nothing wrong with having a hunting rifle that the barrel's not free floated. If you get the accuracy you want, hey, you're good. That's all you can ask for. And keep in mind, this is for shooting groups. This is for the range. Basically, we're setting up target rifles here. Out in the field hunting, all that matters is your cold bore shot. If your cold bore shot's on it every time, you're good. If your second shot, just in case, maybe another deer walked out or something. If your second shot's grouping right there with your cold bore shot, you're golden. In this instance, though, I did want to get as good an accuracy as I could out of these rifles. And I think we're well on our way to doing that. Okay, so what's next for these two rifles? Well, next would be fit and finish. All right, so we're going to refinish these stocks. We're going to redo the checkering on this FN. I hadn't decided exactly what to do on that 1903 A3 yet. We got some options we're going to discuss here shortly. But that's next on these, fit and finish. And I also need to shorten this length of pull on this FN. I'm going to say the length of pull on this FN is probably 3 inches longer than on the 1903 A3. Big difference between the two. Which the 1903 A3s always did have a short length of pull, and we're going to discuss that later too. That's a pretty big issue. But I am just absolutely ecstatic to know the free floating and bedding paid off. The work paid off there. So we're well on our way here. After the fit and finish, I think we're going to do load development then. And here in about a month or so, I think we're going to have two really fine rifles. We already do, but I mean, let's see how good we can make them. All right, if y'all want to see how any of this turns out, if you hadn't already, hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and we'll fit and finish next. And hey, join us on Facebook at Tom River Simple Living Group. Be brave, join up. We've got a few brave souls that have. I have no clue what I'm doing with Facebook, so hey, we're figuring that one out slowly. So, anyway. I think that covered it for the bedding and free floating. So that was interesting. God bless and have a good day.